Well, good Sunday evening. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Terry. The channel is A Real Live Mom because I'm a real live mom. I try to post videos that have to do with raising a family, taking care of kids, housekeeping, doing it all while you're working full-time, gardening, taking care of chickens, backyard homesteading, just a whole bunch of stuff. Today the video is on my plans for the fall. Right now, yes, we have a really good chicken coop, but it's still a work in progress. It's not done, and those of you that work full-time and try to manage all this stuff, you know, things get pushed back, and it's definitely gotten pushed back, and it's just what it is at this point. But I do have plans for the fall. One of the plans is to say goodbye to our Thanksgiving and winter meat turkeys. They're just about ready. That won't be for a couple more weeks because we're taking a trip to visit our daughter, and so they're not quite ready, and I don't want to rush it because after all the work that we put into them, I don't want to process them until they're good and ready. But after that, I plan to take down, if you can see in the back there behind me, directionally challenged, there, right back there. That is their temporary enclosure, and I do mean temporary because they were never meant to be permanent, and so I didn't build anything that was going to be permanent. It's just mostly just tarps and fencing, and that's about it. Once we process them, I want to move my quail out of my chicken run, which is where they're at now. I keep my quail on the ground where they like to be and where it's more natural for them, but they don't really get onto grass unless I throw a big hunk of sod or something in there for them, so I feel bad for them and I want them to be out more. So I'm going to take down all of that tarping, and what it's currently attached to is our old wood pile, which mostly is just kindling. We'll go ahead and move all of that to another location in the yard because you never know when you need wood for heating in the winter if we lose power for whatever reason. We do have a wood stove that we can use it in. The structure that it's in is an old chicken run that we had attached to our very small, very early coop. Excuse me, I'm trying to do something here. Can you guys go do something else? So I'm going to pull all that kindling out of there, take down the collapsed roof because it was never meant to be a solid roof, and it had a good snow load on it one year and it kind of collapsed. It was just a couple of crossboards and some chicken wire. It wasn't anything big. So I'm going to put a solid, sturdy roof on it that's kind of a lean-to, and maybe I'll do a pitched roof. I haven't decided. And then make that so that it's nice and solid and can support a good snow load. There's various things I'm going to do to it, but I made these plans, you know, step by step what I'm going to do. Drew out the pictures of all the different components of the new quail enclosure. It will have a coop that's tall enough and has a door so I can go in and out, keep it clean, keep it nice and orderly, check on them if they need to, and gather eggs. There will also be some quail hutches in there for them to just walk in and out of as they please. They won't be penned in there. They'll be able to go in and out as they please, and if they want to go under the hutches they can, into the hutches, onto the hutches, I don't care. But it'll give them a nice secure place for when it's really cold and snowy or wet. There will be a little pop door for them to go in and out. It'll be just big enough for a couple of quail to fit through, and a little ramp to get down onto the ground. The ground is currently mostly grass. There's some dirt, but it's mostly grass, and then I'm going to put a good solid fence around that, the hardware wire, and a solid hardware wire top on it, but it won't be covered in a way that I have to worry about. There goes Matthew, my youngest son. Won't be covered in a way that they have to that I have to worry about keeping the snow off of it, because quail or wild birds, they can handle going in and out through the snow. If they don't want to be in the snow, they'll have that whole indoor enclosure to be in. It's just up to them. They'll get to choose. I'll keep their food and water just outside the pop door, and it will be covered so that if they don't want to be in the snow and they still want to get to their food, or if it's raining or something, the food is in a protected spot, but it's not in the coop with them, so it won't be a problem attracting mice or anything. I'll also keep their water out there. I'm going to plant some rows of Sharon rose bushes in 2 of the corners, and I've got this whole plan. Focus, focus, focus. There. I've got this whole plan of where the different aspects are going to be. Putting in mint all around the perimeter, because that repels mice, and it's something that they like and they can chew on and doesn't bother them. The roses Sharons, they really aren't a thorny rose bush, so it won't hurt them. It's very healthy, has lots of vitamin C, so if they eat the flowers, it's good for them, and it'll give them a place to kind of go under and feel like they're protected. I'll throw some terracotta pots and logs and things out there just to make it a very natural space, but mostly I'm mostly interested in having them be able to get to grass, and lots of it, so they don't tear it up, and they don't tend to tear up things the way that chickens do, but they do a certain amount of that. But I'm excited to get that project started. Once I get that done and them moved, then I'm going to clear out their area in the run, and I'm planning on making that a storage area for some of our bigger things like lawnmower and snow blower, stuff like that. I'm going to really punch up that run. It's kind of bland, and it's just got tarps around the 2 sides to cut down the wind and the rain and the snow. I want to put solid plywood on the back side. I want to maybe do a 1/3 or more of the south side, but mostly I want it to be open, but it is going to be fully hardware wired, and I want to put a door on the coop so that I can close it and close them into their run, but they don't have to be closed up in their coop. For instance, if we're going to have a barbecue or something in the backyard, I don't necessarily want chickens everywhere, and I don't want to have to wait until they go to bed for the night, so having a place where they could still be outside, but they're not in the yard when we're out doing whatever we're doing, is my preference. Other than that, I am going to be finally finishing the inside of their coop. We've just got most of it as a temporary thing, and yes, the roosting bars are screwed down really good, so they're not going anywhere, but I'm going to undo that. That was just so that it was secure until we could get to it, and then we never got to it. So now we're going to get to it. If I have to do it by myself, I'll do it by myself. I'm fairly adept at that, so I'll just do it by myself. But I'm hoping to have some help. Just depends on how available people are. But I'm going to completely realign the roosting bars. I don't like the configuration right now. I'm going to finish insulating and then putting plywood up on the walls and paint it. That will help to prevent mites, and I can repaint it, whitewash it, whatever I want to do. Excuse me? I don't know what their problem is. They look angry. They're not. They're just showing off for her. She, excuse me, go away. She isn't all that interested in how much they're showing off. So I don't know how much good it's doing them. So I'm gonna reconfigure the roosting bars, insulate, put up the plywood, paint. I want to mount those bucket nesting boxes that my chickens seem to really, really prefer. I want to make a framework that they can sit in. Let's see if I've got a picture of that. Kind of do. Right there. Have 2 of them, 1 on each side of the coop, that I will just access from inside the coop, because mine's a walk-in coop. but I also want to mount some on the outside back wall that leads into the run, that are the square nesting boxes, because not all chickens like the same kind of nesting boxes. So I'm going to give them a couple of options, but I want them up off the floor. They may not ever stop laying on the floor. There are certain ones that seem to prefer it. That's fine. But if I can get most of them up off the floor, I would prefer that, because I just feel like it's cleaner for the eggs. Yeah, maybe it doesn't really make that much difference. Everything's going to blow away now. We are finally getting clouds and a little bit of thunder here and there and a little bit of rain. It feels so good. It's been so hot, and it's finally going to break, I think. Schools are all open. Holly's doing the distance learning. She doesn't want to wear a mask all day, so she chose to do distance learning for that reason, and I support that. She did really well in the distance learning last semester, so I'm good with that. Other than that, I'm starting to pull a lot of things out of the garden. Pretty excited about that. The garden's looking really good. Now that the weather is starting to break, the garden is ready to start to produce and kick into overtime. So I've been busy with that, but mostly I've been busy with just work and getting my oldest daughter off to basic training, getting Holly ready to go back to school. It's been kind of busy. So now I'm hoping that things will quiet down some. Got a bunch of sunflowers to get in. I brought a bunch in already. The big, massive sunflower heads are starting to get ready to topple over, so they're going to have to come in so the chickens don't get to them. The chickens figured out this afternoon that when those flowers start to hang over the fence, it's a free treat, and they were going after some of them, so I'm going to have to stay on top of that. Yeah, it's going to be a busy autumn with the harvest and preserving everything, processing up these big boys and girl, getting everything built and configured and cleaned up and looking really good. I'm going to feel really good once it's all done, and I want to try to have it all done by Thanksgiving, because we're taking a 2-week trip in the middle of October after the harvest is all done, so we won't be able to work on it then. But it'd be nice if it was all completely done by Halloween, really. But with that trip, it's probably not going to happen. I'm going to shoot for Thanksgiving and be happy if I have it done by Easter, which is fine too. It's not going anywhere. Yeah, it's been interesting. I'm going to tack on a little video that I did at the end of this. It's something that I discovered this probably a couple of years ago. Rocked my world. Maybe it's not going to rock anybody else's world. Maybe I'm the only person in the last one to figure this out. But it was a game changer for me. And it has to do with the frustration of opening those feed bags with the little string across the top. It took me a long time to figure this one out, so I'll tack that onto the end of this. Hopefully somebody else out there didn't already know this. Somebody besides me. But that's how I learn. I go along and I discover things either by accident, or I learn from somebody else that's figured it out or already knew it, or it was obvious. So till the next video, have a great rest of your Sunday. I'll see ya in the next one. stumbling around. Scary stuff to stumble around in. Okay. So that was me just getting the turkeys their hard-boiled eggs for the night. I feed them 6 hard-boiled eggs every day. And getting them settled in for the night. I wanted to show you something that I learned, and maybe everybody knows this except me, but it rocked my world when I found out, so I thought I would share. So I'm going to show you a trick for opening feed bags, and it works on all feed bags that have a little string on it. So just watch. Okay, so this feed bag is just your standard feed bag. Now the trick is to know it must be facing upright and the label towards you. So if you're going to do it opposite of that, you have to do the reverse. But with the label towards you, you grab the end of the string on the right hand side and then you just pull. Voila. Rocked my world.